The invitation wasn't supposed to hurt anymore. 3 years had passed since Cody walked out. 3 years of rebuilding. 3 years of learning how to stand on her own. But when Brittany saw the date, June 15th, their anniversary, something inside her shifted. This wasn't an invitation. It was a message. You're still beneath me. Cody wanted her to watch him win, to see what she'd lost, to remember her place. What he didn't know was that Brittany hadn't been broken by the divorce. She'd been forged by it. And when she walked into that wedding, she wouldn't arrive as the woman he left behind. She'd arrive as the woman he never bothered to see. Cody Allen and Nancy Williams request the honor of your presence at their wedding. Brittany stared at the card until the words blurred. Cody, her ex-husband. The man who left her when money ran out, when life got hard, when loyalty stopped being convenient. And he wanted her there, front row, witness to his upgrade. The note inside was worse. It would mean a lot for Leah and Ross to see their parents moving on peacefully. No hard feelings. No hard feelings? Brittany laughed, a sharp, humorless sound, standing alone in her small apartment while her kids were at school. Cody had taken the house, the savings, the dignity, then left her with debt and shame. And now, he wanted an audience. What Cody didn't know, what no one knew, was that Brittany hadn't stayed broken. And when she walked into that wedding, she wouldn't be alone. Hi there, my name is Brittany, and this is the story of how I arrived at my ex-husband's wedding with a billionaire's children and proved that the woman he left behind was worth more than he could ever imagine. Stay with me, because what happened in that room? Cody never saw it coming. But before we get into what happened next, if you're loving this story already, hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, you won't want to miss how this unfolds. And if you think Brittany deserves justice, share this story. Let's make sure every person who's ever been underestimated sees what's possible. The invitation sat on Brittany's kitchen counter like a living thing. She hadn't moved in over an hour. The apartment was silent. Too silent. Leah and Ross were at school. Her coffee had gone cold. She'd picked up that cream cardstock 5 times, put it down 6. The envelope was expensive, heavy, the kind of stationery Cody used to say they couldn't afford when they were married. Ironic. Brittany opened her laptop without thinking. The email was still there, the one from Darren Clinton she hadn't answered yet. She glanced back at the invitation. Cody Allen and Nancy Williams. Her hands trembled. The cardstock shook. Inside was a handwritten note. His handwriting. The same handwriting that used to leave her anniversary cards. The same handwriting that signed the divorce papers 3 years ago without hesitation. Britt, I know this might feel awkward, but I hope you'll come. Leah and Ross should see us both moving forward. Both of us happy. No hard feelings. C. No hard feelings. She read it 3 times. Each time the words made less sense. No hard feelings about the abandonment. About the debt he left her with while he kept everything. About the custody arrangement that gave her every other weekend while he played Father of the Year in their house. She checked the date again, had to be sure. June 15th. Her breath caught. June 15th, their anniversary. The day they got married 9 years ago. The day she wore a borrowed dress because they were saving for a house. The day she promised to love him through anything. He had chosen their anniversary for his wedding to someone else. The invitation slipped from her fingers, landed face up on the counter. A memory hit her hard. 3 years ago, almost to the day. Cody came home early from work. She was folding laundry in the living room. Leah and Ross were 5, playing with building blocks, their laughter filling the small space. He stood in the doorway, loosened his tie, looked at her with eyes that held nothing. "We need to talk," he said. 4 words that shattered everything. "I want a divorce." No explanation. No warning. No chance to fight for what they'd built. She remembered dropping the towel in her hands, remembered the way her knees went weak. "What? Why? Cody, what are you—" "I met someone." His voice was flat, clinical. "Someone who understands where I'm going. Someone ambitious, someone who gets it, someone who isn't struggling, someone who isn't you. He didn't say it. He didn't have to. Who? She'd whispered. Nancy. Nancy, younger, polished, working at his firm. The woman who'd smiled at Brittany at the company holiday party 6 months earlier. Brittany shook her head, tried to push the memory away, but it kept coming. The divorce proceedings. Cody's lawyer was ruthless, expensive, prepared, untouchable. Brittany's lawyer was court-appointed, overwhelmed, outmatched. Cody kept everything. The house they'd saved for, the joint accounts, the car. His lawyer argued that Brittany had no career, no income, no marketable skills. She'd been a stay-at-home mother by choice. Her sacrifice didn't count. She got $800 a month in child support. Shared custody that meant every other weekend. Nothing else. The judge barely looked at her when he made the ruling. Brittany opened her eyes. She was still in her kitchen, still holding cold coffee, still alone. 3 years of struggling, 2 jobs that barely covered rent, food bank visits she hid from the kids, birthday parties she couldn't afford. 3 years of Cody's mother calling to remind her that if you'd kept yourself up, maybe he wouldn't have wandered. 3 years of seeing Leah and Ross every other weekend. Of missing bedtimes and school concerts and scraped knees. 3 years of becoming invisible. She picked up her phone, scrolled to her wedding photo. There she was at 26. White dress from a consignment shop, flowers in her hair, smiling like the world was full of promise. She didn't recognize that woman. That woman believed in forever. That woman trusted blindly. That woman was naive. Brittany set the phone down, looked at the invitation again. No hard feelings. Something hot and sharp coiled in her chest. Her laptop pinged. Another email from Clinton. She opened it. Brittany, I know you need time. I understand. But I'm here when you're ready. Always. D. Darren Clinton. Kind, patient Darren. The man she'd met 18 months ago when she spilled coffee on his laptop in a hotel lobby. The man who laughed instead of suing. The man she didn't know was a billionaire until someone recognized him on their 4th date, Darren. Who understood when she said she needed to keep things private, that Cody couldn't know, that the kids couldn't meet him yet, not until she was sure. Darren who never once complained, who never pushed, who just waited. The doorbell rang. Brittany jumped, spilled cold coffee on the counter. She wasn't expecting anyone. She looked through the peephole. A man in a dark suit stood there, professional and unreadable, holding a large envelope marked confidential. Her heart hammered. She opened the door. Brittany Hammond? Yes? Sign here, please. She signed with shaking hands. He handed her the package, left without another word. Brittany closed the door, locked it, stared at the package. Heavy, official-looking, no return address. She opened it slowly. Inside were documents, plane tickets, and a handwritten note in Darren's unmistakable script. You don't have to hide us anymore. Let me be there. Let them see you the way I do. You deserve to walk into that room like you own the world. Because you do. D. Her vision blurred. Beneath the note were legal documents. She flipped through them, hands trembling. Financial records, bank statements, asset transfers, all with Cody's name on them. Accounts she didn't know existed. Money hidden during the divorce. Properties titled in his mother's name. Business deals structured to conceal income. Evidence. Clear, undeniable evidence that he had lied. At the bottom was a note from someone named Marcus Chen, Cody's former business partner. Mrs. Hammond, I should have spoken up 3 years ago. I was a coward. I documented everything. I'm sorry it took me this long. This is enough to reopen your case. Brittany sat down hard on the kitchen floor. Papers spread around her like fallen snow. Darren had been investigating. For how long? Months since they met? He'd been building a case. Quietly, without telling her. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend, Jenna. Haven't heard from you in a few days. You okay? Want to grab lunch? Brittany stared at the message, at the invitation on the counter, at the evidence scattered across the floor. She typed back, "Can you come over now? I need you." 3 dots appeared immediately. "On my way, 10 minutes." Brittany stood, gathered the papers, put them back in the package, made fresh coffee, strong, the way Jenna liked it. Then she picked up the invitation one more time. No hard feelings. For the first time in 3 years, Brittany smiled. It wasn't a happy smile, that. Jenna burst through the door 9 minutes later, breathless. "What happened? Are the kids okay?" She stopped, saw Brittany's face. What did he do now? Brittany handed her the invitation without a word. Jenna read it once, twice. Her face shifted from concern to confusion to fury. "He invited you to his wedding, on your anniversary." Yes, that absolute... Jenna stopped herself, took a breath. "Okay, and the note. No hard feelings. Is he actually delusional?" "I think he genuinely believes that." "Of course he does. Cody Allen, the man who can do no wrong." Jenna tossed the invitation on the counter. "Please tell me you're not going." "I don't know." Brittany's voice was quiet. "I honestly don't know, Jen." Jenna studied her face. Her best friend always could read her. "There's something else." "What is it?" Brittany handed her the package. Jenna read through it slowly at first, then faster. Her eyes widened with each page. Holy hell, he hid all this during the divorce? Apparently. And Clinton found it? Clinton. Jenna set the papers down carefully. "You're Clinton." "He's not my Clinton. It's complicated." "Uncomplicate for me." Brittany poured them both coffee, sat at her small kitchen table, the one that wobbled because she couldn't afford to replace it. "I met him 18 months ago at the Marriott downtown. I spilled coffee on his laptop." "You told me this part." "He laughed. We talked. He was present. In a way Cody never was." Brittany wrapped her hands around the mug. "We started seeing each other. Nothing serious at first, just coffee, then dinner, then..." She trailed off. "I fell for him. And he fell for you. And I couldn't tell anyone. Not you, not the kids, nobody." Jenna's jaw tightened. "Because if Cody found out you were seeing someone, especially someone with money, he'd go back to court, try to reduce child support." "Exactly. So you've been hiding this relationship for a year and a half. Completely. No social media, no public appearances, just us, in private." Brittany's voice cracked. "And Darren said he understood, that he could wait, that protecting Leah and Ross mattered more. And he's been waiting for 18 months. While I keep pulling away, keep pushing him back because I'm terrified." "Of what?" "Of everything." Brittany's hands shook around the mug. "Of him leaving, of him realizing I'm not worth the trouble, of him being like Cody underneath it all." She shook her head. "I know that's not fair to Darren. He's never given me a reason to doubt him, but I can't help it." Jenna reached across the table, took Brittany's hand. "You're not the problem. You know that, right?" "Do I?" "Cody made you think you were. He spent years breaking you down, making you small, making you think you were lucky he stayed as long as he did." Brittany's eyes burned. She looked away. "And now," Jenna continued, voice steady, "he's invited you to watch him marry someone else. On your anniversary, after taking everything from you. He wants me to see what he's built, what I'm not part of. He wants you to feel small." Brittany nodded. Jenna squeezed her hand harder. "So don't give him that." "What?" "Don't give him what he wants." Jenna's eyes blazed. "You've been hiding for 3 years, surviving in silence, protecting yourself." "I get it, but maybe..." She gestured at the package. "Maybe it's time to stop hiding." Brittany looked at the evidence spread across her table. At the invitation. At the email still open on her laptop. You deserve to walk into that room like you own the world. "I don't know if I can do this," she whispered. "You don't have to decide right now." Jenna stood, moved to the coffee maker. "But you have time. You have evidence. You have someone who clearly adores you, and you have me." She poured more coffee, looked back at Brittany. "And for what it's worth, I think Cody is about to learn something he should have figured out 3 years ago. What's that? Jenna smiled, sharp and certain. That underestimating you was his biggest mistake. But Jenna didn't know the full story. Nobody did, because the woman Cody left behind, the broken ex-wife he thought would disappear quietly, hadn't just survived the last 3 years. She'd transformed. And it started the day the divorce was finalized. But Jenna didn't know the full story. Nobody did. Because the woman Cody left behind, the broken ex-wife he thought would disappear quietly, hadn't just survived the last 3 years. She'd transformed. And it started long before the divorce was finalized. It started the day Brittany stopped recognizing herself in the mirror. The decline hadn't been sudden. That was the cruelest part. It crept in slowly, year after year, until Brittany couldn't remember who she'd been before Cody decided who she should become. She'd met him at 23, fresh out of college, working her first real job at a marketing firm. She'd been good at it, creative, driven, full of ideas that made her boss take notice. Cody was a junior accountant at the same company, charming, ambitious. He told her she was brilliant on their second date. By their third, he was already planning their future. They married 2 years later. Small ceremony, borrowed dress, promises made in a courthouse because Cody said they needed to save money. For the life we're going to build, he'd said. Brittany believed him. 6 months into the marriage, she got promoted. Creative director. Better salary. Her boss wanted to send her to a conference in New York. I don't think that's a good idea, Cody had said over dinner. Why not? It's only 3 days. Because we're trying for a baby, Britt. Remember? You said you wanted a family. She had said that, but she'd also said she wanted her career. I can do both, she'd argued. Cody set down his fork, smiled that patient smile, the one that made her feel like a child being corrected. Can you really? Be honest with yourself. Something's going to suffer. And I don't want it to be our kids. She didn't go to New York. A year later, she was pregnant with the twins. Leah and Ross arrived 6 weeks early, tiny and perfect and terrifying. You should take some time off, Cody suggested. They need you. Just a few months, she told herself. 3 months became 6. 6 became a year. By the time the twins turned 2, Brittany's position had been filled. Her boss apologized. We can't hold it forever, he'd said. Cody rubbed her shoulders that night. It's okay. You're doing the most important job there is. And honestly, my career's taking off. We don't need 2 incomes. What he meant was, we don't need yours. The obsession with appearances came next. You should wear the blue dress tonight, Cody would say before company dinners. The black one makes you look tired. Did you do something different with your hair? It looked better before. Maybe skip dessert, Britt. You've been stressed lately, I can tell. He never yelled, never raised his voice. He just adjusted her, piece by piece, until she couldn't make a decision without checking his reaction first. At company parties, he introduced her as my wife, Brittany. She stays home with the kids. Never, this is Brittany. She used to run creative campaigns that won awards. Just, she stays home, as if that was all she'd ever been, all she'd ever be. The money came later, or rather the control of it. I'll handle the finances, Cody announced one Sunday morning, coffee in hand, casual as discussing the weather. You've got enough on your plate with Leah and Ross. I can manage a budget, Cody. I know you can, but my job is literally numbers. Makes sense for me to do it, right? She'd agreed because it did make sense. Until she tried to buy new shoes for Ross and her card declined. Cody, what happened to our account? I moved some things around, investments. Don't worry about it. But I can't even buy groceries. He sighed, pulled out his wallet, handed her cash. Here, next time just ask me first, okay? So I know what we're spending. She became an allowance wife, in her own marriage. When Cody asked for a divorce, Brittany didn't fight. She was too tired, too small, too convinced that maybe he was right, maybe she wasn't enough. His lawyer was a shark in a tailored suit. A woman named Victoria Chen, who spoke in clipped sentences and looked at Brittany like she was a problem to solve. Mrs. Hammond has no current income, Victoria stated in the conference room. No recent work history, no independent assets. She chose to exit the workforce, That was her decision. Her decision. As if Cody hadn't suggested it, insisted on it, made it impossible to choose anything else. Brittany's court-appointed lawyer, a tired-looking man named Frank who handled 12 cases a week, barely put up a fight. "We'll take what we can get," Frank whispered. "Trust me, you don't want to drag this out." She didn't. So she signed. Cody kept the house, the savings, the car, the retirement accounts they'd built together, or rather, that he'd built while she raised their children. She got $800 a month, shared custody, a signature on a document that erased 9 years like they'd never mattered. The judge didn't even look at her when he approved it. The 3 years that followed were a blur of survival. Brittany worked mornings at a coffee shop, afternoons at a retail store. She clipped coupons, bought dented cans at the discount grocery, learned which food banks didn't ask too many questions. She saw Leah and Ross every other weekend, picked them up Friday evenings, dropped them off Sunday nights, watched them grow in 2-day increments. Ross lost his first tooth on a Tuesday. Cody texted her a photo. "Thought you'd want to see." Leah made the school play. Wednesday matinee. Brittany had to work. They were slipping away in small, unbearable moments. And Brittany was invisible. At the coffee shop, customers looked through her. At the store, managers gave her closing shifts because she didn't have anyone waiting at home. When she ran into old friends, they asked careful questions. "How are you?" they'd say, voices dripping with pity. She learned to say, "I'm fine, really." She learned to smile. She learned to lie. Leah and Ross never complained. That was the worst part. They adapted, got quiet, learned not to ask for things Brittany couldn't afford. Learned not to talk about Dad's house, Dad's trips, Dad's new girlfriend. One Sunday night, as Brittany buckled Ross into his car seat for the drive back to Cody's, he looked up at her with those serious brown eyes. "Mom, are you sad?" Her throat closed. "No, baby, why?" "You look sad sometimes." Leah reached over from her booster seat, patted Brittany's hand. "It's okay to be sad," she said, 6 years old and impossibly wise. "You don't have to pretend." Brittany cried the whole drive home. By the 3rd year, Brittany had stopped seeing herself. She caught her reflection in windows sometimes, thin, exhausted, faded. She looked decades older than 32. She'd become exactly what Cody always feared. Unremarkable. Invisible. Forgettable. She believed it completely. And then on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon, everything changed. Brittany was running late for her retail shift. She'd covered the morning at the coffee shop, had 15 minutes to grab lunch, and was trying to eat a sandwich while walking through the lobby of the Fairmont Hotel, a shortcut to the bus stop. She wasn't paying attention. Didn't see the man until she collided with him. Her coffee, cheap gas station coffee in a paper cup, exploded across his chest. White dress shirt. Expensive-looking suit. Ruined. Brittany froze. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I wasn't looking. I can pay for cleaning, I can—" The man looked down at his shirt, looked at her, and then he laughed. Not a polite laugh, a real one, warm, surprised. "Well," he said, pulling the soaked fabric away from his skin, "that's one way to make an impression." "I'm so sorry." Brittany's hands shook. "Please, I'll pay for—" "Hey," his voice gentled. "Are you okay?" She blinked, stared at him. "You're asking if I'm okay? I ruined your shirt." "It's a shirt," he smiled. "Are you hurt? You hit pretty hard." Brittany realized tears were streaming down her face. From embarrassment, from exhaustion, from 3 years of everything finally breaking through. "I'm fine," she whispered. "I'm sorry, I have to go. I'm late." Wait." He pulled a handkerchief from his pocket, handed it to her. A handkerchief. Who carried those anymore? "I'm Darren," he said. She took the cloth with trembling hands. "Brittany." "Brittany." He said her name like it meant something. "Can I buy you a real cup of coffee? One that doesn't end up on strangers?" "I can't. I have work. I'm already—" "Tomorrow then. Same time, right here." She should have said no. Should have run. Should have protected herself from hope. But Darren Clinton was looking at her like she was visible, and Brittany hadn't felt seen in 3 years. "Okay," she heard herself say. "Tomorrow." He smiled. And for the first time since the divorce, Brittany felt something other than empty. She felt possible. Brittany almost didn't go. She stood outside the Fairmont lobby the next day, 10 minutes early, telling herself this was stupid. Men like that, polished, confident, kind, didn't follow through. They said things to be nice, to smooth over awkward moments. He wouldn't be there. But at exactly 2:00 p.m., Darren Clinton walked through the revolving doors carrying 2 coffee cups and that same easy smile. "You came," he said. "You remembered." "Of course I remembered." He handed her a cup. "I didn't know how you take it, so I got it black. There's cream and sugar in my pocket if you need it." Brittany laughed. Actually laughed. "You have cream and sugar in your pocket?" "I came prepared." He patted his jacket. "Also napkins, in case you decide to throw this one at me too." "I didn't throw it. I'm teasing." His eyes crinkled. "Come on, there's a bench outside, unless you have somewhere to be." She had her retail shift in 90 minutes. She should say no. "I have a little time," she said instead. They talked for an hour. Not about anything important. Movies, books, the fact that neither of them could keep plants alive. Darren told her about growing up in Seattle, about his sister who called him every Sunday without fail. He didn't ask about her marriage, didn't ask why she looked tired, didn't pry. He just listened. Like her words mattered. Like she mattered. When Brittany finally stood to leave, already late for work, Darren stood with her. "Can I see you again?" he asked. "I don't know if that's a good idea." "Why not?" "Because she gestured vaguely at herself. "I'm a mess. I work 2 jobs. I have kids. I'm divorced. I'm not Brittany." He said her name gently. "I'm just asking for coffee. Not your life story, not a commitment, just coffee." She looked at him, really looked. Saw no agenda in his eyes, no calculation, just genuine interest. "Okay," she whispered. "Coffee." He smiled. "Thursday?" Thursday. Thursday became the following Tuesday. Tuesday became Saturday brunch at a diner Brittany loved but could never afford. Darren always insisted on paying. "Let me," he'd say when she protested. "Please." It took 3 months before Brittany learned what he did for a living. They were walking through Pioneer Square when someone recognized him. A young man, maybe 25, practically vibrating with excitement. "Mr. Clinton? Oh my God, I used my grant money from your foundation to start my business. I wanted to say thank you. You changed my life." Darren shook his hand warmly. "I didn't change anything. You did the work." The man left beaming. Brittany stared. "Foundation?" Darren's neck flushed. "I should have mentioned, who are you?" I run a tech company. Started it in my 20s. Got lucky. Very lucky." He shoved his hands in his pockets. "I thought you knew." "Why would I know?" "Most people. Google." "I don't have time to Google people, Darren. I barely have time to sleep." He laughed, relieved, she realized. "Good, that's good." Later that night, Brittany did Google him. Darren Clinton, founder and CEO of Kinetic Solutions, net worth estimated at $2.3 billion, featured in Forbes, donated millions to education and small business initiatives. She nearly blocked his number. But then she remembered. He'd never once made her feel small. Never pitied her, never treated her like a project. So she texted, "You should have told me, oi." His reply came immediately. Would it have changed anything? She stared at her phone for a long time. Finally, "No, good, see you Tuesday?" Tuesday. 6 months in, Brittany introduced him to Leah and Ross. She'd been terrified. Told Darren he didn't have to meet them, that it was too much pressure. "I want to," he'd said simply. "If you're ready." They met at the park. Neutral ground, low stakes. Ross hid behind Brittany's legs for the first 5 minutes. Leah watched Darren with suspicious 8-year-old eyes. Darren crouched down to their level. "Hi, I'm Darren. Your mom's told me a lot about you." "Are you Mom's boyfriend?" Leah asked bluntly. "Leah," Brittany started. "I'm her friend," Darren said, and I'm hoping to be yours too, if that's okay." Ross peeked out. Do you like superheroes? Are you kidding? Spider-Man is objectively the best. Fight me. No way, Ross emerged fully. Iron Man. Oh, we're going to have problems, Darren said seriously. And just like that, the ice broke. Within an hour, Ross was showing Darren his action figures. Leah was explaining her drawings in painstaking detail. Darren listened to every word like it was the most important thing he'd ever heard. When they left, Ross hugged Darren goodbye without being prompted. Leah whispered to Brittany, "He's nice, Mom. Not like Dad." Brittany's heart cracked open. For 18 months, they lived in careful secrecy, no social media, no public appearances, no paper trail for Cody to find. Darren never complained, never pushed, never asked for more than she could give. When Ross had nightmares, Darren researched child psychology and texted Brittany articles at 2 a.m. When Leah struggled with math, he created silly songs to help her remember formulas. When Brittany worked double shifts, he dropped off groceries on her doorstep, unsigned, untraceable. He wasn't rescuing her. He was just present. Steady. There. One night, 3 weeks before the invitation arrived, Brittany broke down. They were at his apartment, modern, minimalist, everything she wasn't. She'd just dropped the kids at Cody's and couldn't stop crying. "I'm so tired," she sobbed. "I'm so tired of being invisible, of being nothing." Darren pulled her close, let her cry into his chest. "You're not nothing," he said quietly. "You're everything. And someday you're going to see yourself the way I see you. How do you see me? Strong, resilient, brilliant, beautiful." He tilted her chin up. "Brittany, you survived something that would have broken most people. And you're still here, still fighting, still showing up for your kids every single day. Cody doesn't see that. Cody's a fool." She laughed through her tears. "You're biased." "Completely." He wiped her cheeks gently. "But I'm also right." The day the wedding invitation arrived, Brittany called Darren from her apartment floor, surrounded by papers and evidence and 3 years of suppressed rage. "He invited me," she said flatly, "to his wedding, on our anniversary." Silence. Then, "I'm coming over?" "You don't have to. I'm already out the door." 20 minutes later, he was sitting beside her, reading the invitation, his jaw tight. "He wants you to feel small," Darren said finally. "I know. He wants you to watch him win." "I know." Darren set the invitation down, turned to face her. His eyes were steady, serious, certain. "Brittany," he took her hand, "do you want to show him the truth?" She stared at him, at this man who'd spent 18 months proving that love didn't have to hurt, that kindness wasn't weakness, that she deserved to be seen. "What truth?" she whispered. Darren squeezed her fingers. "That he didn't break you, he just set you free. That he didn't break you, he just set you free." Brittany stared at Darren's hand holding hers, at the invitation lying between them like a gauntlet, at the evidence Marcus Chen had compiled, proof of Cody's lies, his manipulations, his theft. "I don't know if I can do this," she said. "Then don't." Darren's voice was calm, certain. "You don't owe him anything, Brittany. Not your presence, not your pain, nothing. But if you don't go, you're still free. You're still whole. You're still everything he tried to convince you that you weren't." He squeezed her hand. "This isn't about him. It's about you. What do you want?" What did she want? For 3 years, Brittany had survived on autopilot. Work, bills, survive, repeat. She hadn't allowed herself to want anything beyond making it through another day. But now, holding that invitation, something dark and sharp twisted in her chest. She wanted Cody to see her, really see her. Not the broken woman he'd left behind, but the woman who'd rebuilt herself from the wreckage he'd created. She wanted him to know what he'd thrown away. But more than that, and this surprised her, she wanted to prove it to herself. "I want to go," she said quietly. "Not for revenge, not to hurt him. I need to walk into that room and know I survived him." Darren studied her face. "Then we'll make sure you do exactly that." "We?" He smiled, soft, steady. You think I'm letting you face him alone? Over the next 2 weeks, Brittany learned things about Darren Clinton she'd never thought to ask. He wasn't just wealthy, he was respected. His company, Kinetic Solutions, had revolutionized cloud infrastructure. His foundation funded hundreds of small businesses and educational programs. He sat on the boards of 3 major nonprofits. When he spoke at tech conferences, people listened. "Why didn't you tell me?" Brittany asked one evening over takeout in his apartment. "Because it doesn't matter." "It matters, Darren. You're you, and you're brilliant. You're resilient. You raised 2 incredible kids while working 2 jobs and surviving a man who tried to erase you." He set down his chopsticks. "Brittany, my money doesn't define me, and your circumstances don't define you. Can we agree on that?" She nodded slowly. "Good. Now, do you want to go to this wedding as yourself, or do you want them to see what Cody walked away from?" "What's the difference?" Darren's eyes gleamed. "Presentation, strategy, making sure everyone in that room understands exactly who you are now." "I don't want to make a scene." "You won't have to. Trust me. Just walking in will be enough." The harder conversation came 3 days later, when Leah and Ross visited for the weekend. They were sitting at Brittany's small kitchen table, Ross coloring, Leah reading, when Brittany cleared her throat. "I need to tell you something." Both kids looked up. "Your dad is getting married next month, to Nancy." Ross's crayon paused. Leah closed her book slowly. "We know," Leah said. "Dad told us." "He did." "He said we'd be in the wedding," Ross added quietly, "that we'd get to wear fancy clothes." Brittany's stomach dropped. "And how do you feel about that?" Ross shrugged. Leah looked at her hands. "Leah," Brittany prompted gently. "I don't know." Her daughter's voice was small. "Nancy's nice, I guess, but what, honey?" "But she's not you." Leah looked up, eyes fierce. "And Dad acts like you don't exist, like you never mattered, and I hate that." Brittany's throat tightened. "Leah, it's true, Mom. He never asks about you, never talks about you. It's like you were just there and then you weren't. And now he's getting married and he's happy and you're—" Her voice cracked. "You work all the time, you're always tired, and it's not fair." Ross set down his crayon, moved to Leah's side, put his small hand on her shoulder. Brittany knelt in front of them, took both their hands. "Listen to me, both of you. What happened between your father and me, that's not your fault, not ever. You understand?" They nodded. "And yes, I work hard. Yes, things are different than they used to be, but I'm not unhappy. Not anymore." "Really?" Ross's eyes were wide. "Really? Because I have you two, and I have—" She hesitated. "I have people who care about me, people who see me, and that's enough." "Like Darren?" Leah asked. Brittany froze. "How do you—" "We're not dumb, Mom. We know you see him. He texts you. You smile different when you talk about him." Leah tilted her head. "Is he coming to Dad's wedding?" Brittany looked at her daughter, 8 years old and impossibly perceptive. "Would that bother you?" "No." Leah's response was immediate. "I like Darren. He's nice to you. Dad never was. Not really." Ross nodded agreement. And just like that, Brittany felt something shift. Her children weren't fragile. They were resilient, observant, strong. They'd been watching, learning, surviving alongside her. "Your dad invited me too," Brittany said carefully, "and I'm thinking about going." "Why?" Ross wrinkled his nose. "It's going to be boring." "Because—" Brittany searched for the right words. "Because I need to show myself that I'm okay, that I moved forward too. Does that make sense?" Leah studied her for a long moment, then smiled, small, knowing. "Are you going to look pretty?" What?" "You should look really pretty, Mom, so Dad sees what he lost." Brittany laughed despite herself. "That's not why I'm going." "But you should anyway," Leah insisted. "Right, Ross?" "Right," Ross agreed solemnly. "Super pretty, like a princess." Brittany pulled them both into a hug, felt their small bodies against hers, felt their strength anchoring her. "I love you both. So much." "We love you too, Mom," they said in unison. When Darren picked them up for ice cream later that afternoon, a weekend ritual now, Leah whispered something in his ear. Darren's eyes met Brittany's over her daughter's head. He mouthed, "I've got this," and Brittany believed him. The decision solidified over the following week. She would go to the wedding, not to prove anything to Cody, not to humiliate Nancy, not for revenge. She would go because she deserved to walk into that room as herself, whole, loved, seen, and know that Cody's opinion of her no longer mattered. She was doing this for Brittany, the woman who'd survived, the woman who'd rebuilt, the woman who'd learned that her worth wasn't determined by the man who left. On Thursday evening, 1 week before the wedding, Brittany was folding laundry when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello? Brittany, it's Cody." Her breath stopped. She hadn't heard his voice in months, not since the last custody exchange when he'd texted instead of calling. "Cody?" Her voice came out steady, calm. "What do you want?" "I wanted to check if you got the invitation. You haven't RSVP'd." She gripped the phone tighter. "I got it. And I'm thinking about it." Silence. Then, "You don't have to come, you know. If it's too hard, Nancy and I would understand." Too hard. As if she was the one who couldn't handle seeing him happy. As if she was still that broken woman he'd left behind. Brittany looked at the evidence folder on her counter, at the dress hanging on her closet door. Elegant, white, powerful. At the photo of her and Darren with the kids at the park, laughing. She smiled. "Actually, Cody," she said softly, "I'll be there. Wouldn't miss it." Another pause. "Really? That's great, Britt. Really mature of you." Mature. She almost laughed. "See you on the 15th, she said, and hung up. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear, from anticipation. June 15th arrived with perfect weather. Brittany stood in front of her bathroom mirror at 8 a.m., hands gripping the sink, willing herself to breathe. "You can do this. You can do this." Behind her, reflected in the glass, hung the white suit Darren had insisted on buying. Tailored, elegant, powerful. Not a wedding dress, nothing that would steal Nancy's moment, but undeniably striking. "Mom!" Leah burst through the door, already dressed in her white lace dress, hair curled. "Darren's here. He brought breakfast." "And donuts," Ross added from the hallway, wearing his crisp black suit, bow tie slightly crooked. Brittany turned, looked at her children. Excited, oblivious to the warfare ahead, just happy to be included in something special. They deserved this. They deserved to see their mother walk into a room unafraid. "Give me 20 minutes. "Say no," she said. Leah grinned. "You're going to look so pretty, Dad won't even recognize you." "That's the point, sweetie," Brittany murmured. An hour later, Brittany emerged from her bedroom. The white suit fit perfectly. Tailored blazer, wide leg pants, a subtle V-neck that suggested confidence without trying too hard. Her hair was styled in soft waves, makeup natural but polished. Simple gold jewelry, black sunglasses perched on her head. She looked elegant, composed, expensive. She looked like someone who hadn't spent 3 years clipping coupons and hiding from the world. Darren stood from the couch, coffee cup frozen halfway to his mouth. "Wow," he breathed. Leah squealed. "Mom, you look like a movie star." Ross stared. "You look different." "Good different?" Brittany asked nervously. "Really good different," Darren said quietly. His eyes held something deeper than admiration. Pride. "You ready?" "No." "Good. The best moments never feel ready." He offered his hand. "Shall we?" The venue was 40 minutes outside the city, an estate Cody's family had rented. Gardens, fountains, white roses everywhere. Of course, Brittany thought. Nothing but the best for Cody Allen. 2 black Mercedes pulled up to the circular driveway. Darren had arranged everything. Drivers, security, timing. "We're not sneaking in," he'd said. "We're making an entrance." The first car stopped. A security guard in a dark suit stepped out, opened the door. Darren emerged first. Calm, confident, understated in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Brittany's monthly rent. Then Brittany. She stepped out, sunglasses on, white suit catching the late morning sun. She held out her hands. Leah took her right, Ross her left. They stood there, the three of them, framed by luxury cars, flanked by quiet security, looking like they had stepped out of a magazine spread. Guests milling near the entrance stopped talking. Heads turned, whispers rippled. Is that? Who is she? Wait, those are Cody's kids. Brittany removed her sunglasses slowly, met the stairs with a calm, level gaze. Then she smiled, not triumphant, not cruel, just present, and started walking toward the entrance. Inside the venue, the ceremony was still 20 minutes away. Guests mingled in the atrium, champagne glasses, nervous laughter, expensive perfume. Brittany walked in holding her children's hands. The room didn't go silent exactly, but conversations stuttered. Eyes tracked her movement. She felt every gaze, every assessment, every shocked recognition. That's his ex-wife. I thought she was... Look at those cars outside. Who's the man with her? Leah squeezed her hand. Everyone's staring, Mom. I know, baby. Is that okay? Yes, Brittany squeezed back. That's exactly okay. They moved deeper into the room. Brittany spotted familiar faces. Cody's mother, Patricia, in the corner, mid-conversation, champagne flute paused at her lips. Cody's business partner, Marcus, across the room, nodding subtly. Nancy's parents near the windows. And then, Cody. He stood near the entrance to the ceremony space, greeting guests, laughing at something someone said. Confident, happy, oblivious, until he turned and saw her. Brittany watched his face cycle through emotions in real time. Confusion first. Who is that woman? Then recognition, then shock, then something that looked like disbelief. His smile died mid-laugh, his champagne glass lowered, his eyes widened. Brittany? She could see him thinking it, see him trying to reconcile the woman before him with the broken ex-wife he'd dismissed 3 years ago. This wasn't possible. This wasn't her. Nancy appeared at his side, beautiful in a pre-ceremony dress, radiant and excited. She followed Cody's gaze, saw Brittany. Her smile faltered slightly. Brittany inclined her head. A polite acknowledgement. Nothing more. Nancy blinked, looked at Cody, back at Brittany. Her expression shifted, confusion giving way to something sharper. This is her? This is the woman you left? And then Darren stepped into view. He'd been hanging back deliberately, letting Brittany have her moment. But now he moved to her side. Not possessive, not showy, just there, a hand at the small of her back. A quiet presence. The whispers intensified. Is that Darren Clinton? Wait, the Darren Clinton. Oh my God, it is. Why is he here? Patricia's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattered on the marble floor. Marcus Chen smiled into his drink. Nancy's father leaned over to his wife, whispered something urgent. And Nancy stared at Brittany like she was seeing a ghost. Or worse, seeing the truth. Cody stood frozen, face pale, eyes darting between Brittany, Darren, the children, the security outside, the luxury cars visible through the windows. His mouth opened, closed. No words came. Brittany met his gaze across the room, smiled. A real smile, warm, genuine, free. Then she turned away, took Leah and Ross toward the seating area, Darren beside her, calm and steady as always. Behind her, she heard Nancy's voice, low and tight. Cody, who's that woman? That's Brittany, my ex-wife. I told you about... You said she was struggling. You said she could barely afford... She was. She is. I don't understand. That, Nancy interrupted, voice sharp now, does not look like a woman who's struggling. Brittany didn't turn around. Didn't need to. She could hear it in Nancy's tone. The first crack in the carefully constructed narrative Cody had built. The first question Nancy was finally asking herself. What else did he lie about? Brittany took a seat in the third row, close enough to be visible, far enough Fafa to avoid confrontation. Leah settled beside her, smoothing her white dress. Ross fidgeted with his bow tie until Darren leaned over, whispered something that made the boy giggle and sit still. They looked like a family. Brittany felt eyes on them from every direction. "Mom," Leah whispered, "people keep staring." "Let them," Brittany murmured back. Darren's hand found hers, squeezed once. A silent reminder, you're not alone. Before the ceremony could begin, guests continued to circulate, and inevitably, they approached. First came Patricia, Cody's mother, champagne replaced, smile fixed in place like a mask. "Brittany," her voice dripped with false warmth. "What a surprise to see you here." "Patricia." Brittany stood, extended her hand, professional, polite. "You look well." Patricia's eyes scanned Brittany's suit, her jewelry, the man beside her. "And you look different." 3 years will do that." "Indeed." Patricia's gaze sharpened. "And this is Darren Clinton," he said smoothly, standing to shake her hand. "A pleasure." Patricia's face went carefully blank. "Clinton as in, yes." Darren's smile was pleasant, unrevealing. Patricia recovered quickly. "How lovely. Well, I'm sure Cody will want to say hello properly. Excuse me." She retreated, heels clicking on marble, spine rigid. Leah tugged Brittany's sleeve. "Grandma looked mad." "Grandma always looks mad, sweetie," Brittany whispered back. Next came Nancy's parents, Richard and Catherine Brightwell. Older money, conservative, polished. Richard extended his hand to Darren first. "Richard Brightwell, Nancy's father." "Darren Clinton." Richard's eyebrows rose fractionally. "The Darren Clinton Kinetic Solutions?" "That's correct. I've followed your work. Impressive portfolio." Richard glanced at Brittany, curiosity barely concealed. "And you are?" "Brittany Hammond, it Cody's ex-wife." Catherine's smile tightened. "Oh, how modern of you to attend." "I was invited," Brittany said evenly. "Of course." Catherine's eyes assessed Brittany's suit, her composure, the children sitting quietly beside her. "Your children are lovely, so well-behaved." "Thank you." Richard was still looking at Darren. "I didn't realize you were in town for the wedding." "I'm here with Brittany," Darren said simply. The implication hung in the air. Catherine's champagne glass paused halfway to her lips. Richard cleared his throat. "Well, lovely to meet you both. Enjoy the ceremony." They left, heads already bent together in urgent whisper. Darren leaned close to Brittany. "That went well." "Did it?" Nancy's father just realized his future son-in-law's struggling ex-wife is dating a billionaire. "Yes." "That went very well." The ceremony began. Brittany watched Cody stand at the altar, nervous, excited, straightening his tie repeatedly. The same man who'd stood at a different altar 9 years ago and promised to love her forever. The same man who'd broken every promise without hesitation. Nancy walked down the aisle, beautiful, young, glowing. Her dress was gorgeous, her smile radiant. For a moment, Brittany felt a pang of something. Not jealousy, not regret, pity, because Nancy didn't know. Not yet. But she would. After the ceremony, during cocktail hour, Cody finally approached. Brittany was standing with Darren near the garden entrance when she saw him coming. Jaw set, eyes hard, smile forced. "Brittany." He ignored Darren completely. "Can we talk? Privately? Anything you need to say, you can say here." Cody's smile tightened. "I don't think that's appropriate." "I disagree." His eyes flicked to Darren. "And you are?" "Darren Clinton." He extended his hand. Cody didn't take it. "Right, the new boyfriend." Cody's voice dripped condescension. "Quite the upgrade from the Brittany I remember. Tell me, how long did it take you to land him? Must have been quite the effort." Brittany felt Darren tense beside her, but she touched his arm gently. "I've got this." "Is there something you needed, Cody?" Her voice was ice. "I needed to make sure you understand something." Cody stepped closer, voice lowering. "Whatever game you're playing, Showing up here like this, bringing him, trying to make some kind of statement, it's pathetic. You're still the same woman I left. The same woman who couldn't keep up. Fancy clothes and a rich boyfriend don't change that. Silence. Then Ross's voice, small but clear from behind them. That's not true. Everyone turned. Ross stood there, fists clenched, face red. Leah beside him, eyes blazing. You left Mom when she needed you, Ross continued, voice shaking. You took everything. She works 2 jobs. She's tired all the time. And she never says bad things about you even though she should. Ross, Cody started. And Darren isn't her boyfriend to make you mad, Leah interrupted. He's nice to her. He helps with homework. He doesn't make her cry like you did. Cody's face went white. Kids, this is adult conversation. No, Brittany's voice cut through. She moved to stand between Cody and her children. They're right, every word. She looked at him, really looked, and felt nothing. No fear, no anger, just clarity. You left because I wasn't enough for you. Because I chose family over career. Because I got tired and ordinary and real. Her voice was steady, strong. You took the house, the money, the life we built. You made me believe I was worthless. Cody opened his mouth. But you were wrong. Brittany stepped closer. I'm not the same woman you left. Not because of Darren, not because of money, but because I learned something you never understood. What's that? That my value was never determined by you. Guests had stopped pretending not to listen. A small circle had formed, discreet but attentive. Cody's jaw worked. You think you've won something by showing up here, by parading around with him? I'm not parading, Cody, I'm simply existing, and apparently that's threatening enough. This is my wedding day, that you invited me to. Brittany's smile was sharp. On our anniversary, though. Remember? His face flushed red. Mom? Leah tugged her sleeve. Can we get juice? Of course, baby. Brittany turned away from Cody without waiting for a response. Took her children's hands. Walked toward the refreshment table. Behind her, she heard Darren's voice, quiet and cold. A word of advice, Alan. The next time you try to humiliate someone, make sure they're actually still beneath you. Nancy had been standing 10 feet away. Brittany saw her from the corner of her eye, frozen, champagne glass trembling in her hand, face pale. She'd heard everything. The insults, the cruelty, the casual dismissal, the way Cody had spoken to his children. She'd heard it all, and something in Nancy's expression shifted, cracked. Across the garden, Patricia was talking urgently to Cody, gesturing, angry, but Nancy wasn't looking at them. She was looking at Brittany. And in her eyes was a question Brittany recognized intimately. What else hasn't he told me? Later, as guests moved toward dinner, Brittany overheard Patricia's voice from behind a decorative screen. Told you to handle this quietly. Now everyone's talking about the ex-wife and that man. I didn't know she'd... Cody's voice, defensive. You said she was broke. You said she was nothing. You said she was. Well, she's not anymore. And worse, Nancy saw how you spoke to her, how you spoke to your own children. Do you have any idea how this looks? A pause. Then Nancy's voice, quiet but devastated. Is that how you talked to her when you were married? Silence. Cody, answer me. Is that how you treated Brittany? More silence. Then, breaking. What else did you lie about? Brittany didn't wait to hear Cody's response. She walked back to her table, where Darren and the children waited. She'd heard enough. The truth, it seemed, was finally speaking for itself. Brittany sat at their assigned table watching Leah and Ross color on the blank backs of menu cards while Darren checked his phone. The reception dinner was about to begin. Guests were settling into their seats. The band was warming up. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned, except the bride and groom were missing. Mom, Ross whispered, where did Dad go? I don't know, sweetheart. But she did know. She'd seen Nancy pull Cody toward a private room off the main hall 20 minutes ago. Seen the rigid set of Nancy's shoulders, the confusion on Cody's face. Darren set down his phone, met her eyes. Richard Brightwell just asked if we could speak, privately. Brittany's stomach tightened. Nancy's father? Yes, along with someone named Marcus Chen. Cody's former business partner, the one who provided the evidence. Darren nodded slowly. I think the truth is moving faster than we anticipated. They found Richard and Marcus in a small sitting room, away from the festivities. Richard stood by the window, face grave. Marcus sat on a leather chair, manila folder in his lap. Mr. Clinton, Mrs. Hammond. Richard's formality was strained. Thank you for speaking with us. Of course, Darren said. Richard gestured to Marcus. Mr. Chen reached out to me this morning, shared some concerning information about Cody, about the divorce settlement. He looked at Brittany. Information I believe you're already aware of. Brittany nodded. Marcus opened the folder. 3 years ago, when you filed for divorce, Cody hid assets, substantial assets, properties titled in his mother's name, offshore accounts, business income redirected through shell companies. He slid documents across the table. I helped him do it, and I've regretted it every day since. Richard examined the papers, jaw tightening with each page. Why come forward now? Brittany asked quietly. Marcus met her eyes. Because I watched you struggle, watched you work yourself to exhaustion while Cody complained about child support. Watched him tell people you were lazy, that you took advantage of him. His voice roughened. And when I saw the wedding invitation, saw that he'd invited you to watch him celebrate, I couldn't stay silent anymore. Does Nancy know? Richard asked. She does now, Marcus said. I sent her copies this morning, before the ceremony. Richard's face went pale. She deserved to know who she was marrying. Darren leaned forward slightly. Mr. Brightwell, if I may, there's a pattern here. Financial manipulation, emotional control, isolation tactics. These aren't mistakes, they're calculated behaviors. Are you suggesting my daughter is in danger? I'm suggesting, Darren said carefully, that Nancy should have all the facts before she makes a permanent commitment. Richard was quiet for a long moment. Then, where is Brittany's lawyer? Surely this evidence could reopen her case. It could, Brittany said softly, but that's not why I'm here. 3 men looked at her. I didn't come here for revenge or money or to destroy Cody's wedding. She straightened her shoulders. I came here to prove to myself that I survived him, that I'm more than what he tried to make me believe. Even so, Richard pressed, you're entitled to, I know what I'm entitled to, and maybe I'll pursue it, maybe I won't. Brittany's voice was steady, but today isn't about legal battles. Today is about Nancy making an informed choice, the choice I never got to make. Marcus nodded slowly. She's in the bridal suite with Cody. It's not going well. Through the walls, they could hear raised voices. Nancy's voice, sharp with hurt. You told me she walked away with half of everything. Cody's defensive. She did. She got what she deserved. You hid millions, Cody. Millions. While she worked 2 jobs and could barely afford groceries. It's more complicated than, is it? Because these documents seem pretty clear. Bank statements, property deeds, all in your mother's name. All dated right before your divorce was finalized. Nancy, listen. I am listening. For the first time, I'm actually listening. And I'm hearing that everything you told me about Brittany was a lie. That she wasn't lazy. She wasn't taking advantage. She was raising your children while you systematically erased her from her own life. Silence. Then Nancy's voice, quieter now, devastated. How did you talk to her when she couldn't pay bills? When she was struggling, how did you treat her? Nancy, did you help? Did you care? More silence. You didn't, did you? You enjoyed it, seeing her struggle, seeing her small. That's not fair. Fair? Nancy's laugh was bitter. You invited her to our wedding on your anniversary to humiliate her. You wanted her to see you happy while she suffered. What part of that is fair? Footsteps. Someone pacing. I need you to leave, Nancy said finally. What? Get out, I need to think. This is our wedding day, Kate. I know what day it is, Nancy's voice cracked. Please, just go. A door slammed. Richard closed his eyes. My daughter is realizing she almost married a man who would do to her what he did to you. Maybe, Brittany said quietly. Or maybe she'll forgive him. People do. Did you? No, but I'm not Nancy. Outside, Leah and Ross sat at their table, watching everything with solemn eyes. When Brittany returned, Leah looked up. Is the wedding still happening? I don't know, sweetie. Nancy was crying, Ross said as we heard her. Brittany knelt beside them. Sometimes grown-ups cry when they learn hard truths. It doesn't mean they're weak. It means they're brave enough to feel it. Like you? Leah asked. Like me. Ross tilted his head. Did Dad make you cry a lot? Brittany took a breath. Yes, he did. But you're not crying now. No. Because you're stronger now, Leah said matter-of-factly. Because I learned that crying was okay, and so was walking away. Brittany touched their faces gently. And I learned that from you two, watching you be brave when things were hard. Darren returned, expression unreadable. Nancy wants to speak with you. Brittany's heart stopped. With me? Just you, alone. She looked at her children, at Darren, then stood. Where? She asked. The bridal suite. Nancy stood by the window, still in her wedding dress, mascara smudged, hands trembling. Thank you for coming, she said without turning. Of course. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Okay. Nancy turned. Her eyes were red, devastated, searching. Did he love you at the beginning? Was it ever real? Brittany thought back. To courthouse vows, to borrowed dreams, to a man who said the right words but never quite meant them. I thought so, she said honestly. But looking back, I think Cody loved the idea of me, the version that served his plans, and when I became real, complicated, tired, human, I stopped being useful. Nancy's face crumpled. He told me you were bitter, jealous, that you couldn't accept that he'd moved on. I know. But you're not any of those things. Not anymore. Nancy wrapped her arms around herself. I don't know what to do. Everyone's waiting. My family, his family, 200 guests. Her voice broke. This was supposed to be perfect. Brittany stepped closer. Nancy, I can't tell you what to do. But I can tell you this. Marrying someone because the wedding is planned, because people are watching, because it's easier than admitting you're unsure. That's how you end up where I was. Erased, controlled, invisible. Did you know? Before you married him? No, but I also didn't ask hard questions. I didn't demand truth. I just believed. Nancy looked at her wedding ring, temporary, a stand-in until the ceremony. What would you do? She whispered. Brittany smiled sadly. I'd ask myself if I could survive becoming what he needs me to be. And if the answer is no, I'd walk away, right now, before it's too late. Nancy was quiet for a long time, then, thank you for being honest, for coming today, for, she gestured vaguely, for showing me the truth. You would have found it eventually. Maybe, but you saved me years. Nancy's eyes welled. I'm sorry for what he did to you, for being part of... Don't. Brittany's voice was gentle. You didn't know. And you're not responsible for his choices. Nancy nodded slowly. Then she looked down at her dress. At the 200 guests waiting. At the future she'd planned. I need to think, she said finally. Brittany left her there, a bride alone in a beautiful dress, facing the hardest decision of her life. And as the door closed, Brittany realized this was never about revenge. It was about giving another woman the choice she never had. Brittany returned to the reception hall to find chaos barely contained beneath a veneer of politeness. Guests whispered in tight clusters. The band had stopped playing. Servers stood frozen, unsure whether to continue service. Patricia sat rigidly at the family table, face white, hands clenched around a napkin. Nancy's parents were nowhere to be seen. Neither was Nancy. Leah looked up as Brittany approached. What's happening, Mom? I'm not sure yet, baby. But she was. She could feel it. The careful structure of Cody's perfect day crumbling like wet sand. Darren stood as she reached the table. Nancy's parents just announced a delay. They're asking guests to enjoy cocktails while last-minute details are addressed. Translation? Nancy's still deciding. Ross tugged Brittany's sleeve. Is Dad in trouble? Brittany knelt beside him. No, sweetheart, but sometimes grown-ups have to face consequences for choices they made. Even if it's hard. Like when I lied about breaking Leah's toy? Exactly like that. And I had to apologize and make it right? Brittany's throat tightened. Yes. Is Dad going to apologize to you? She looked at her son's earnest face, at Leah watching carefully beside him, at Darren standing steady and silent. I don't know, she said honestly, but I don't need him to. Why not? Because I already forgave him, not for him, for me, so I could stop carrying the hurt. Leah frowned. But he was mean to you. He was, and that's something he has to live with, not me. Cody found her 20 minutes later. She was standing in the garden, away from the guests, watching fountain water catch the afternoon light. Leah and Ross were inside with Darren, eating cake that servers had started distributing to anxious guests. Brittany. She didn't turn. Cody. He stepped closer. She could feel his anger radiating. Are you happy now? You've destroyed my wedding, humiliated me in front of everyone, turned Nancy against me. I didn't do any of that. You showed up here with him, looking like, dressed like, you knew exactly what you were doing. I showed up here because you invited me. Brittany turned finally. What did you expect, Cody? That I'd arrive broken, grateful for the invitation? Quietly envious of your new life? His jaw clenched. I expected you to have some dignity. Dignity, she laughed softly. That's rich, coming from you. What's that supposed to mean? It means you hid millions during our divorce, left me with $800 a month while you kept everything we built together, told everyone I was lazy, bitter, jealous, when the truth was you systematically erased me from my own life. That's not... Marcus told Nancy everything. She has the documents, the proof, all the lies you told her about me, about the divorce, about who I was. She knows now. Cody's face went pale. Marcus had no right. He had every right, just like Nancy has the right to know who she's marrying. Brittany stepped closer. You wanted me here to feel small, to see you win, to remember my place. I wanted... But I'm not small anymore, Cody. I haven't been for a long time. I just needed to stand in front of you to finally believe it. His hands balled into fists. You think you're better than me now because you landed some rich guy? Because you showed up here in an expensive suit? No. Her voice was calm, certain. I'm better than I was when I believed your version of me, when I let you convince me I was worthless, when I stayed silent while you controlled every part of my life. She met his eyes without flinching. You didn't break me, Cody. You just revealed yourself. And I survived you. That's my victory, not this, not your wedding falling apart, not Nancy seeing the truth. Just surviving you and learning I was always enough. Cody opened his mouth, closed it. No words came. For the first time in their entire relationship, he had nothing to say. Goodbye, Cody, Brittany said quietly. I hope you figure out how to be better. For Nancy, for Leah and Ross, for yourself. But that's not my problem anymore. She walked past him, back toward the reception hall. Brittany. She paused, didn't turn. I'm sorry, he said, barely a whisper. She'd waited 3 years to hear those words, imagined them 1,000 times, thought they'd bring relief, vindication, peace. Instead, she felt nothing. Thank you, she said, and kept walking. Inside, Leah and Ross sat with Darren, chocolate on their faces, legs swinging. Can we go home now? Leah asked. This party isn't very fun. Brittany laughed, real, genuine, free. Yes, baby, we can go home. Darren stood, gathering the children's things. There's somewhere I'd like to take you first, if that's okay. Where? He smiled. Trust me? She looked at him, this man who'd waited 18 months, who'd never pushed, who'd seen her at her lowest and never once made her feel less than whole. "Always," she said. They were halfway to the exit when Patricia intercepted them. "Brittany, wait." Brittany turned. Patricia looked older suddenly. Tired, defeated. "I owe you an apology," Patricia said stiffly. I knew what Cody did, the money he hid. I helped him." Her voice cracked. "And I told myself it was justified, that you weren't good enough for him, that you'd held him back." "Patricia's... Let me finish, please." The older woman's hands trembled. "I was wrong about everything, and I'm sorry for what he did, for what I enabled, for the things I said to you over the years." Brittany stared at her former mother-in-law, saw genuine remorse beneath the pride. "Thank you," she said quietly. "That means more than you know." Patricia nodded, then looked at Leah and Ross. "Take care of them. They're lucky to have you." "I know." Outside, the luxury cars waited. Leah climbed in first, already half asleep. Ross followed, yawning. Before Brittany could enter, Cody appeared at the entrance. Watching, broken. Nancy stood beside him, still in her wedding dress, face tear-streaked, hand no longer holding his. Darren paused, looked at Brittany. "Do you need a moment?" "No," she said. "I don't need anything from them anymore." She slid into the car. Darren followed. As they pulled away, Brittany looked back one last time, saw Cody standing alone in front of the venue, the wedding that might not happen, the bride who knew the truth, the perfect life unraveling. She felt no satisfaction, no triumph, just release. Ross leaned against her shoulder. "Mom?" "Yes, baby?" "Are we going somewhere good?" "I think so." "With Darren?" "With Darren." Leah opened one eye. "Is he going to be around forever?" Brittany looked at Darren, found him already watching her, eyes soft, patient, certain. "I hope so," she said. Darren took her hand, squeezed gently. "Count on it," he murmured. The car turned onto the main road, carrying them away from the fractures of the past and towards something Brittany had stopped believing in 3 years ago. A future built on truth, on choice, on love that didn't ask her to be less than whole. The venue disappeared behind them. And Brittany, for the first time since the divorce, felt like she was finally going home. The car pulled up to a place Brittany didn't recognize. Not a restaurant, not Darren's apartment. A park, sprawling, green, overlooking the water. The late afternoon sun painted everything gold. "Where are we?" she asked. "Somewhere I've been wanting to show you," Darren said. "Come on." Leah and Ross tumbled out, suddenly energized, racing toward the playground in the distance. "Stay where I can see you," Brittany called. "We will," they shouted back in unison. Darren led her to a bench facing the water. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the children play, their laughter carrying on the breeze. "How are you feeling?" he asked finally. Brittany considered. Lighter? Good lighter or exhausted lighter? Both. She leaned against his shoulder. "I thought I'd feel victorious or angry or something big, but mostly I just feel finished, like I closed a door I didn't realize was still open." "That's exactly what you did." She was quiet for a moment. Nancy might still marry him. She might. And Cody might never change. Probably won't. So what did today accomplish? Darren turned to face her. It showed you something you needed to see, that you're not defined by what he took from you. That you rebuilt yourself into someone stronger, kinder, more whole than he ever was. "I didn't do it alone." "No, but you did do it. The work, the healing, the choice to keep going." He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "I just got to witness it." Brittany felt tears prick her eyes. "I spent 3 years thinking I was broken. That everything that happened was somehow my fault. That if I'd just been better, prettier, more interesting..." "Stop." His voice was gentle but firm. "You were always enough. He just convinced you otherwise because controlling you was easier than loving you." "When did you get so wise?" "I had a good teacher." He smiled. A woman who survived the impossible and still found room in her heart to be kind, to forgive, to hope. Leah ran over breathless. "Mom, there's swings. Can we stay for a little bit?" "Of course, baby." "Darren, will you push me?" "Absolutely." Ross appeared, tugging Darren's sleeve. "Me too." "I only have 2 hands, but I'll figure it out." Brittany watched them run ahead, her children happy and secure, holding hands with a man who'd proven that love could be steady, patient, real. She pulled out her phone, looked at the photo she'd taken that morning, herself in the white suit, chin high, eyes clear. She barely recognized the woman from 3 years ago, the one who'd believed Cody's version of her worth. That woman was gone. In her place stood someone harder to break, easier to love, impossible to erase. She texted Jenna, "It's done. I'm free." The response came immediately. "I'm so proud of you. Call me tomorrow. Love you. Love you too." An hour later, as the sun began to set, they gathered back at the bench. Ross was half asleep on Darren's lap. Leah leaned against Brittany, humming softly. "Can we come back here?" Leah asked. "Anytime you want," Darren said. "Tomorrow?" He laughed. "Maybe next weekend." "Promise?" "Promise." Ross stirred. "Darren? Yeah, buddy? Are you going to stay with us?" Darren looked at Brittany. She saw the question in his eyes, saw 18 months of patience waiting for her answer. She nodded. Once. Certain. "Yeah," Darren said, voice thick. "I'm going to stay." Ross smiled, satisfied, and dozed off again. Driving home, Brittany thought about the invitation that had arrived in a plain white envelope weeks ago. The one designed to humiliate her, diminish her, remind her of everything she'd lost. But Cody had miscalculated. She hadn't lost anything. She'd shed dead weight. And in the space he left behind, she'd rebuilt something far more valuable than the life they'd shared. She'd found herself. When they pulled up to her apartment, small, modest, nothing like the house she'd once lived in, it didn't feel diminished. It felt like home. Darren carried Ross inside. Brittany guided sleepy Leah to bed. They moved together seamlessly, a rhythm they'd been building for 18 months. After the children were tucked in, Brittany stood in her kitchen, the same spot where she'd first held that invitation, where she'd broken down, where she'd decided to fight. Darren wrapped his arms around her from behind. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me, when I couldn't see myself." "Brittany." He turned her to face him. "You were always visible, always remarkable, always whole. I just reminded you of what was already true." She kissed him. Soft, grateful, certain. When they pulled apart, she looked around her small apartment. At the life she'd built from nothing. At the man who'd waited. At the children sleeping peacefully down the hall. And she understood something completely. She hadn't arrived at that wedding to prove anything to Cody. She'd arrived to prove something to herself, that she was never broken, just underestimated. And that turned out to be his biggest mistake and her greatest strength.